Hi guys, Kim here. Welcome to Backyard Blooms. In today's video, we're going to talk about these emerald green Arborvitaes that are behind me. I use these as a privacy hedge, which a lot of people do. They're a very common type plant that are used in landscaping for privacy fence. I have 7 on one side, and then I have a magnolia tree in the middle, and then 8 on the other side. So these have been in the ground for approximately 4 years now. It takes about 10 to 15 years for them to mature, and they will get 10 to 15 feet tall at maturity, and wide they'll get 3 to 4 feet tall. So is it common for these conifers to lose their needles inside? Yes. So inside the Arborvitae is called a dead zone, and that is where all those Arborvitaes have lost their needles. It's very common this time of year, and you may see some of them when you're like looking at your shrubs. So that's quite normal. And do you have to remove these needles? Actually, you do not have to remove them. It just helps the tree out in air circulation and like prevent some disease from the tree as well. But nature usually does take its course, and if the needles fall to the ground, then that will help in moisture. But I have mulch down on mine, so I don't really need these needles laying on top of my mulch. For me, I don't like the look, so I'm going to remove them. I'm going to put some gloves on, some really long gloves, because they are quite itchy and they do break me out whenever I put my bare hand into the tree. And I'm going to remove one of these. I'm going to spread apart one of these things, and you can see the dead zone right in there. Can you see this right here? So that is what the dead zone looks like, and all of these needles right here, you just pull them out and they'll be removed quite easily, and that's what the dead needles look like. So I just have some long gloves here, and I do have my pop-up bag right here that I'm going to put all the dead leaves in. And it might be better for me to come on to the other side because I have my limelight hydrangeas here. So I'm going to go around to the other side of the tree and show you what I'm going to do. So I'm kind of getting right in the middle of these two trees just so I can show you how I'm going to do this. So I'm going to just spread the tree apart right here, and I'm just going to grab these dead needles with my hand. You can actually like try to just shake the tree out and get all the dead needles to fall to the ground if you like, but they're going to mostly like collect right here in the middle, and you're just going to take your hand and just grab a handful of it and remove those. This actually helps promote growth as well. And like I said, it definitely helps promote air circulation. These trees tend to grow about 6 to 9 inches a year, so they're kind of real slow growing. You don't want to cut off the tops unless you know you're absolutely for sure that you want to. Yeah, I just have lots of these dead leaves right here, these dead needles right here in the middle. Some people will take a water hose to it and clean it out with the water hose. Just a real heavy stream of water will also help remove the needles. So I'm going to mulch this weekend, so I'm going to try to like get these trees cleaned out, so when I do mulch, I'll have a fresh, clean look of mulch on top, and I don't have dead needles right on top of my mulch. These trees get to be about 10 to 15 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. So when you plant them, you don't want to plant them any closer than 3 feet apart from each other. So I just cleaned out the middle of this tree right here, so I'm going to open the tree up here to just show you how I removed all the dead there. Can you see that compared to, so this tree right here is where I have not removed all the dead yet. Like I said, I'm just going to let all of these needles kind of like fall to the ground. They fall really easy. You really can't hurt these branches right here. You're not like going to like break the branches or anything like that. So just kind of take your hand and let all these leaves just fall, dead needles fall to the ground, and get it all cleaned out. So this one right here, you can see that there's no dead needles inside. It looks good and healthy. I don't see anything on this tree that will hurt it. I don't see any bagworms or any kind of spider mite damage as well. So after I go through all these Arborvitaes and remove all these dead needles inside the dead zone today, I'm going to go back and fertilize. And I like to fertilize these evergreens with an espoma product called Plant Tone. And I'm going to show you a picture of that. So this is what I like to fertilize all my conifers or all my evergreens with. This Plant Tone. It's from Espoma. And this makes all your plants look lush and gorgeous and gives them enough plant food to be satisfied for the springtime. So I'm going to use this Plant Tone on all my emerald green Arborvitaes, my sprinter boxwoods, and then I do have another conifer tree called the Yoshio and Cryptomera, so I'm going to use that fertilizer on that as well. But I'm just trying to focus on this one flower bed right here. This is my hydrangea bed. So like I said, I have these emerald green Arborvitaes, and then I have my limelight hydrangeas that are going to have some absolute gorgeous blooms in the summertime for you. When I do fertilize these Arborvitaes, I'm going to use 1 to 2 cups of the Plant Tone from Espoma product. It is an organic product, so I'm going to mix it in with the mulch, and I like to put it down right before a rain. So I know this Saturday it's going to rain, so I'm going to probably try to do that most likely before Friday, so it'll get good and rained in. And I know my Sasha girl really loves this product, so I want to keep her out of it and not wanting to eat that as well. So that's why I also like to put it down before a good rain. There are a few pests that these Arborvitaes are susceptible to, so you do have to kind of watch out for bagworms. Bagworms are like a bag of worms that are about like that. They're very noticeable if you're on the lookout for it. Spider mites are really hard to see, but if you start seeing browning on the outside of your Arborvitaes, that might be a very good indicator that you do have some spider mites. I like to go ahead and just preventively spray for spider mites because they're really bad in my area in Charlotte, North Carolina, Zone 8. So I personally like to preventive spray for spider mites. I like to use Jack's Dead Bug, and I'll use that product when it starts getting warmer. Typically in May and August is when I like to spray for spider mites. Another thing to think about when you're planting these Arborvitaes is that they like well-drained soil. They like to be watered weekly after you plant them, especially for the first 2 years. So I have drip on mine. I do have lots of videos on how to put in your own drip irrigation, and I'll have that link down in the comments. And if you're having a hard time finding all those little parts and pieces to the drip irrigation, I also have links to every one of those little parts and pieces to put that puzzle together into my description below. So if you're thinking about planting these Arborvitaes, which they are a beautiful plant, I highly suggest that you do not plant them in the summer during the drought time. They like cooler temperatures, so I'm going to say now is a perfect time to go ahead and start your Arborvitae hedge for your privacy fence if you like to do that. And another great time would be late fall. Another thing to think about, if your shrub is not very bushy and you want it to be bushier, try to remove the limbs from, like I have this magnolia tree, and it's really close to this emerald green Arborvitae behind me that you can see right here. So you can see that I have this magnolia tree, and this tree will get quite a bit larger than this Arborvitae. So one of the things that I do think about is I try to keep these limbs trimmed up down here. So this Arborvitae here has good airflow and has a lot of sun, so it will bush out and grow like it's supposed to. So that's another thing. Just try to keep your trees pruned up around it, like this one is. So I know that this Arborvitae here is going to get some great sun, and along with this one over here. So these branches aren't encroaching on this Arborvitae at all. So try to keep, and I also, with these limelight hydrangeas too, I also try to keep them pruned away from this over here, so I still have good airflow. So like these branches right here still maybe even a tad too close for here. But when they start to bud out and branch, I'll go and I'll trim that area right there so I know that they're going to get good sun, because these are still growing, they're still babies considering they're 4 years old. But you can see right here I have a lot of this dead that's still showing through, and this is just still the dead zone part right here. So that's why I want to remove a lot of that. I'm just going to get in and just pull all that away and let it fall to the bottom, and then I'll go back and clean all these leaves up. Like I said, I'm going to mulch this coming week, and I'm going to put a fresh coat of mulch down, and I don't want all of these dead needles personally on my nice fresh mulch. So just give you an up close better look at these Arborvitaes. I have 8 on this side, and they're planted about 28 inches apart or so. And then I left more room for this magnolia tree, and I'm keeping it trimmed up. You can see where I've already removed several of the branches before, just trying to get it pruned up. And then we're going to try to get all these needles cleaned out today. And I'm going to show you close up the one that I did clean out. This is the one that I cleaned out today. So I'm going to show you the inside of the tree here. See how it's nice and clean, and I got all the dead needles, and they all fell to the bottom here. And that's all I'm going to do is just take my gloves. I don't have gloves on right now, but I'm just going to take all these and just pile them up and then dispose of them into my pop bag right there, and then I'll put them in the trash can. Some waste companies will take away waste. Mine does not, because I live in the county. So I guess you need to kind of follow your rules of wherever you live at also.